When the enemy finds you, you're going to need some backup. And now you can bring in anyone, even if they don't own the game. Exclusively on PlayStation, get Far Cry 4 and receive 10 keys to Kyrat. Send a key to any of your PSN friends. Invite them to explore Kyrat with you in the ultimate free trial experience of Far Cry 4's open world co-op.
We're catching up on Far Cry 4, and we've got Alex here, who's the creative director, and I think creative is a key term here from the demos that we've just tried inside here. You showed off a little bit of the sort of the more colorful and flavorful portions of the game. What can you tell us about the Shangri-La thing, and what's the reason behind going there?
Yeah, so obviously, you know, the first thing you do in any sort of game that's in a franchise, especially one as popular as Far Cry, is you say, how can we improve the basic mechanics? And you add elephants and, you know, co-op and all that sort of stuff. We're also looking to surprise people. So Shangri-La was this idea of, if we're going to invent a world, and Kyrat is, you know, a hybrid of Nepal and the Himalayas and Katmandu and places like that. We're going to invent this place to make it feel real and solid. We also invented the mythology of the place. So we like this idea of not just putting it on posters, you know what I mean, or in statues, or, you know, shrines that you can visit, but also letting you play the myths and legends of the country. So it's kind of a little alternate universe that gives you some of the backstory to our world.
So you're taking a little bit of a creative license, if you will, with that. There's been a little bit of a controversy about the language thing. What's your position on that?
Yeah, it's funny because like the country in the game Kyrat is a fictional place, so I'm glad people know the language they speak in our fictional country. But no, we wanted to, you know, they do speak Nepalese in the game in some areas, they speak Hindi in other areas, they speak Cantonese in other areas. So for us it was, you know, it's a fictional place, and we just wanted to get as much sort of flavor and variety in the game as possible.
And it being a fictional place, perhaps key to the gameplay, because it's not really, maybe it wouldn't be as much fun to play in sort of a real world setting in those kind of places.
Yeah, well, we want it to be believable as opposed to real. You know what I mean? If you say it's this exact place, then you know as you were saying, you're stuck with that layout, and we want to make it as fun as possible. So we like to take things from the real world, inspire ourselves from you know history, inspire ourselves from, you know, tourist visits to different places, and then take all the best bits, the most fun bits, and squish them together in our fictional place.
But one of the things that you have done that's different from Far Cry 3 is that the layout of the place is much more vertical. Mm-hmm. It's a very different sort of scenario. So it's not like you just put some mountains in a Far Cry 3 map. Can you tell us about the decision in that and how that sort of changes the gameplay?
Yeah, so any open world game, there are a lot of open world games now, and so we're trying to make sure that our playground, the area you explore, is as fresh and unique as possible. And so when we looked at how we could, you know, go from the Rook Islands of these beautiful tropical locations, how could we make it feel different, and not just from Far Cry, but also from other open world games, we realized that generally verticality isn't dealt with that much, you know what I mean? There's a lot of roads, there's hills and mountains, but it's sort of a slow incline, and we thought if we added, you know, the gyrocopter, you know, we added the grapple, we'd not only change the way you saw the environment, but also how you moved around. So it's been a lot of fun, and it helps us make a more interesting world to play with.
Has it changed the way you unlock the map and unlock objectives as well? Is that changed since?
We're always evolving that stuff. It's not so much, you know, we want basically in any Far Cry game as quickly as possible to give you all the tools and toys, you know what I mean? Open the gates into the open world. So there's still, you know, a rough learning curve at the start, but pretty much half an hour in or thereabouts, 1 hour max, you can go anywhere, do whatever you want.
We just briefly touched on Shangri-La. I think that was a sort of it's very different than anything I've seen in Far Cry. Can you tell us a little bit about the sort of the vision that went into that, and sort of what the player objective is when you enter this world?
Yeah, so whenever we create something different, whether it's the Himalayan maps or the Shangri-La maps that we're showing here at Gamescom, we're trying to change gameplay. You know, we want the player to play in a different way. So when we looked at Shangri-La, we took away basically all the modern weaponry because it's a, it's mythology. So you basically just have the bow and a few twists and turns and different ways of playing with the bow. And we gave you a tiger companion that you can auto. So we have a bit more creative license to do things that are a little too fantastical for the main game. So we really wanted to focus just on that, on the bow, on takedowns and close quarters combat, and on your tiger companion, and just really drill down into those.
So one thing that I was a little bit worried about is that we've seen a lot of the elephant. How big a deal is it in the game, and so will it be set to certain locations, or because I can't see an elephant running around in the snow, right?
Yeah, no. I mean, all the animals for us, they all have their areas. So you can, for most of the game, if you go find an elephant somewhere else and ride it all the way over, you can bring them into some more unusual, locations for an elephant. But yeah, you have to find them in the world just like any animal.
They can't go with you on your wingsuit flights.
You cannot fly an elephant. No, unfortunately, no Dumbo this time around.
All right. So you detail a little bit about the keys to Kyrat practice that you're doing with PlayStation there. It's a really neat thing. Can you tell us a little bit about what's gone into that? And one thing that I'm thinking about is like you get 2 hours, but how much of a download is it before you can start playing? Because that will sort of, if you have to download something for several hours to play for a couple of hours, what's the thinking?
Yeah, so the reason we did it was we think the game's fun, we're excited by it, but when you're in any franchise, sometimes, it's difficult to get people to give it a shot. So we just wanted to take our biggest fans, hopefully the people who, love the game, give them 10 keys to Kyrat, they can give to their buddies and bring them in for free. So yeah, even if you don't own the game, you can play it with your best friend for 2 hours, as you say. Yeah, it is a big download because we didn't want to create a small part of the game. It really is the entire game that you have access to, except for the story missions. So wherever your buddy is, you can jump right in. So yeah, unfortunately, it's going to be a big download, but once you've done that, if you like it, and we hope you do, then it's just a couple of button presses and you can play on.
So that's good at least. It's not just 50 gigs of data on your hard drive, so that's nice. What's left to do now? You've shown off these section things, which to me is like, it's a little bit like dissecting a great big animal and putting it on a plate or something. It's very difficult to sort of get that Far Cry feeling from seeing these things. What's left to do, and sort of where are you at right now?
Well, we're pretty much done. So we're in the last couple of months of the project. So it's just mountains of bugs and small polish tasks and trying to make sure that the sort of overall flow of the game works. So the very end is you get all the bits you've been working on, usually in isolation. You put them all together, and then you just have to make sure they work over 20 hours, 30 hours, 40 hours. So the game economy, how you unlock features and how you unlock, chunks of the world, all that sort of stuff to make sure the long play is fun as well as, individual chunks.
Any hilarious bugs or glitches that you can tell us about?
Oh, there's always weird stuff. I think there was a physics bug that was launching elephants into the air. That was pretty bizarre. So
you should keep that in there.
Exactly.
I think some Swedes made a lot of money with goats and that sort of thing.
You'd get your flying elephants. So yeah, no, I'll leave it to the mod community. They can make the flying elephants.
All right. November 18th, is it?
November 18th.
All platforms?
Every platform known to man.
Oh, that's a lot. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you.
All of this is just a small glimpse at the beautiful brutality that awaits you. What you do with this world is entirely up to you.